Hey guys, it's Marisa at the marketplace, and we are shooting our first podcast. Yay! A lot of you have been asking for longer stories and the background of why we do what we do and why we partner with who we partner with. And I have the distinct pleasure today. I've got Carmen with me from iDefend. And I just wanted you to meet her because I fell in love with this group who is working in Ethiopia, and they're working with single moms. And that is, as a mom, that really touches my heart. So I just wanted you to hear the why behind the ministry. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. You're my guinea pig. I can't promise how this is gonna go. It could go sideways. But I want people to know, I guess, a little bit about you. Why do you do what you do? Because it's not easy.
No, it's not easy. So I think the reason that I do what I do is because of where God's brought me from. I think that God tends to use our stories, our past, whether it's good, whether it's bad, and He uses that so that we can relate and we can empower people that are going through or have gone through similar things that we go through.
Okay. All right. So I know that when I met you, you brought your daughter with you, Kiki.
Yep.
And she is Ethiopian. And you adopted her. And then you kept telling me the story behind, I guess, the adoption. So I'd love for you to share some of that with us.
Yeah, so we actually went to Ethiopia on our a vision trip with our church back in 2006, and we knew we were going to adopt, but we thought that's something you did like when you're in your 40s or something, not in your 20s. And it wasn't a part of our plan to adopt. We were going to work on a sports camp in the countryside. And so on the last day we were there, I had shared my testimony with someone, and they said, hey, we need to take you to this girls' home that has 32 former street girls there because you have a lot of similarities with them, and we want you to meet them. And so we went, and later on, come to find out, Kiki was 3 at the time, and her biological mom was thinking about putting her up for adoption because her biological mom wanted to continue her education and also wanted to give Kiki an opportunity at education. And so we kind of prayed and we just said, God, if this is your will, like we are willing to do this. And fast forward now, our daughter is 16, almost 17 years old next month. And so yeah, that's kind of how the adoption kind of took place.
So you adopted her. You came back to Charlotte, though.
Yes.
And you lived in Charlotte for a while.
Yes. So we adopted Kiki and came back to Charlotte, and our organization Make Your Mark actually started in Charlotte about 14 years ago. Around the same time we were adopting, and that's where we loved on at-risk youth and their families in Uptown Charlotte.
Okay. So then how the heck did you make it to Ethiopia?
Yeah, so like we talk about stories and how stories are important and how stories like they just change lives, like when you hear a story. And so it was very important. I'm adopted, and so I've never had a connection with my biological family. And so it was very important for me to give that to my daughter because I did not want her having the emptiness and the voids that I had as a young girl, teenager, into my early 20s. And so we fought really hard for her to have that connection with her biological mom. And so every year my husband would go back to build on the sports camp, and he would visit the biological mom, showing, hey, here's pictures of Kiki riding a bike, here's pictures of Kiki starting school, those types of things. And then one day he was walking the streets with her biological mom, and he wanted to know more about her story. And so she took him to where she was begging, with Kiki on her back, where they would dig for trash to feed her baby, where she would wash Kiki from the hospital wastewater. And so all of these things just started to wreck us. And so at one point, my husband was standing in the road, and Kiki's biological mom said, this is where my plastic house was. And she said, and where you're standing is where I gave birth to Kiki. And so in that moment, we realized that our daughter had been born literally on the dirty streets of Addis Ababa, not in a hospital, not with nurses taking care, or anything that we're used to. And so it's kind of like our Moses moment, like the burning bush, where God said, you're going to move your family to Ethiopia, and you're going to get street kids off the street, and you're going to prevent them from ever going to the streets.
Wow. Okay, I'm just glad God said, just start the marketplace. I got to stay in the States. So literally from that point where you said, you know what, we're moving to Ethiopia, how long before you moved to there?
So we assumed that because we were willing and ready that it would be immediate. And it wasn't. We thought like we'd go back. We went to Ethiopia for 2 months just for God to confirm that he wanted us there. And it was good for us to take Kiki back, being around her biological mom and stuff. And so we went to this, we stayed in Ethiopia for 2 months during the summer. We came back. Our plan was to move, around December, like, hey, we're going to come back.
Okay.
And it literally took us about another year, to get back to Ethiopia. But God was doing work in the wait as well. And so
Wait, don't you love that work in the wait?
Yes.
People think as they're waiting, they're just doing nothing. But there's a whole lot of stuff happening while you're waiting.
Yeah. There was a lot. There was a lot of cool stuff that happened during the wait.
Okay, so then you hop on a plane.
Yeah.
You move. And what year is this?
So this is 2000. I am so bad with my years. Let me do some math and I'll tell you in a second.
This is real, people. This is real stuff. It's like, so you go, and from how old was Kiki though when you went and she went and you stayed 2 months?
So she was 7 then.
Okay, so about what? Almost 4 years.
Yep.
You'd had her for 4 years.
We had her about 4 years before we moved.
Okay, so then you go to Addis, and I'd love to know when you landed, how did you start? How did you know where to start or how to start? There's a lot of things you have to navigate.
Yeah, there's a lot. I think specifically for us, like what God did is we kind of went in, not really taking Make Your Mark to Ethiopia because we never wanted Make Your Mark to be about Carmen and Trent. And so it stayed locally and it was ran here, and we partnered with an organization in Ethiopia. And so I think you learn a lot by watching other people. You learn what to do, and then you learn what not to do. And so I think during that season, it was a sweet, hard time of learning what not to do. And so I would say for the first year and a half, that's what we did. And really networking with people.
It's usually relationship building.
Yeah, relationship building, learning from people, see what mistakes they made so we didn't have to make the same mistakes, and so just learning. So that's pretty much what we did the first year and a half that we were there.
Okay, so where does iDefend come into it?
So when we were there for those 2 months before we moved there, we met a girl named Jerry, and she was actually pregnant. And she wanted us to adopt her baby. She was scared. She was in fear. She didn't have anywhere to go. She didn't have anything. And now she has this baby growing in her belly. And so we prayed about it and we fasted, and God didn't tell us to adopt her baby. He said, no, you're going to empower her to be a single mom. And so we invited Jerry and the baby to come and live and be a part of our family. And that's kind of how iDefend started. Like she started working, doing 8th grade at night for school, and then she was going to cooking school during the day.
Okay.
But we realized that wasn't going to be a sufficient income for her to take care of her baby by herself. And so we started realizing she was really good at making things.
Okay.
And so we started getting her to make, we started with leather cuffs actually, and then all the money would go back to Jerry. And so the iDefend just kind of started because of one person and her need, seeing that need, and allowing God to use us to empower her to keep her baby and to be a single mom.
Okay, so I love to ask this question because I know what a hot mess I was when I started the marketplace and trying to sell product. So where did you sell? Where did you sell these items?
So we would just sell them when we would come back to the States, when we're speaking at churches, when we're, having our gatherings with our supporters and things like that. That would be like where we would sell them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you weren't selling them locally?
No.
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 Okay. So you would just stockpile until you came
Yep.
back to the States.
Yep.
Okay. So then when was that moment where you said, darn, I got to find a market because I've got to sell this stuff?
Yeah, so, when it was just Jerry and her taking care of her daughter, which her daughter now is 9 years old.
Wow.
They live on their own. They don't need any help from anyone. Like, she is empowered as a single mom to take care of her child. Like, we kept the family together.
Wow. Okay.
And so once that happened, God kind of brought another girl. And so we kind of grew to two instead of just Jerry. It was another girl that was, on the streets that just needed help. And so we got her in sewing school, went to sewing school. So then we had two. And then now, fast forwarding, we're up to 5 iDefend staff.
Okay.
And so I can share a little bit about their stories in a little bit. But really, like, when you need to get out and you need to do more is when you get to empower more people. Because our whole goal is we want to create jobs for Ethiopians. We want to create jobs for our beneficiaries with Make Your Mark, where they don't even need our help anymore.
Sure.
And so as we start to grow and just being able to empower more people, you realize you need help, like, selling your product, basically.
Yeah.
There's only so much that we can do.
Yeah.
So.
Or just taking it back to the States and just trying to find. I love how my groups have volunteers who are so passionate. So they'll take it to their church and they'll go to another church, and I love how it spreads that way. So let me ask you this. When you started, were you prepared?
No, there was nothing, no. Just that willing heart to step into fear of something that's outside of what you're comfortable with and trusting God in the process.
Yeah, I think sometimes I want people to hear this. I think sometimes people want the blueprint. They want to know from A to Z. Well, God's not going to tell you from A to Z. Yeah. God's going to give you A, and He needs you to do A, and then you'll know what B is. Yep. And it has just been, it's a faith walk. Yeah. Yeah, so I think people need to know that none of us are prepared.
No.
But we all learn from each other, and I think that is that's great. So a question I love to ask people is, what you know today, if you could have given yourself advice even 5 years ago, what would you have said to yourself?
5 years ago. Let's see. There's a lot that's happened in 5 years. I think that I would have told myself to enjoy the journey. Like, we get so caught up in the day-to-day or responsibilities when none of it's ours anyway. It's all God's. And so I think just resting in His peace in the palm of His hands and enjoying the journey more than maybe trying to control the journey or, have it all figured out, So I think that's what I would tell myself.
Chill out. So I've got the little clutch here. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so this is the Tanish clutch. So it is made from cow leather, and then we have the goat hide on the front. And so Tanish by Amharic, it means small. And so it's the appropriate name for the small clutch. It's a Tanish clutch.
So what made you decide on the design? Who's your designer?
Yeah, so what we love to do is we love to let the artisans have their hands on the designs.
Okay.
And so we kind of will make sample products and then we tweak them and then make them better. And then, that's kind of part of the process. But we love to allow, the makers to be able to have a voice, because then they're going to appreciate it. They're going to be empowered. And then when they see and know that their product is selling, like, they're going to feel good about what they're doing. And so they are very involved.
So they designed this one.
Yes.
I have to say they did a great job.
Yes, I agree.
Because sometimes I know some product coming out of Africa will be very colorful.
Yes.
And a lot of my Westerners will say, oh, I love it, but they're not going to carry it. But this is really it's a classy little wristlet.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a really nice product. So another thing that we were carrying for you guys were pillows, but we sold out right away.
Yay!
So, but those were really cool because it was the hide on hair, the goat on the front, and then on the back it was so soft. It was lamb. And the customer, she purchased two of them, sight unseen. I just told her the story, and she has such a heart. To help other women who are single moms. And she's like, I'll take two of those, and I'll take one of the clutches, and I'll take some earrings. And she's like, just send it to me. The minute she opened the box, she said, oh my word. So she messages me and she says, I'm trying to buy multiples of each of these pillows. And it says, I can't, I don't understand. I said, because we don't have it. So she's like, send me, I'm gonna go in right now, then I'm gonna buy everything. So she puts her order in, and I said, why did you leave one behind? It's kind of sad. And she's like, what do you mean I left one behind? I need that one too. So she ended up getting all of them, and then we saw her at a show and she bought some more earrings, and yeah, so she loves you guys. And other customers like, where are the pillows? And I'm like, they're gone.
They're gone.
So that is what I love. It's that people get, not only are they connected to the story, but when they see the product is stellar. It is well made. It is, I feel like it's on trend. Those pillows were on trend.
Yeah.
So you're telling me they designed those pillows?
Yeah, so we know a lot of the product that is coming in and out, and so we wanted to do something different than what everyone else is doing. I think people have a tendency just to do the same because it works.
And I'm thankful that you're not doing paper beads.
Yes, we're not doing paper beads.
No.
So we kind of just had this idea, and it's like, hey, let's try to make some pillows, know, and let's see how it works. And so we did.
And they've done well for you.
Yeah, they have done well. We don't have any more pillows at all here. So when we have a friend that's coming in October, so she'll be bringing some back. And yeah, so we just said, let's start making some pillows, and we tried different designs and fun stuff. And that's where I let the girls get creative, and Tesvu, we have a boy that's with us too.
Yeah.
But let them get creative in what is beautiful to them, and so, and they love that. They love to be able.
Well, but there is some design chops there. They're very good at what they're choosing to do. Yeah. So bravo to them.
Yeah.
So now you mentioned 5.
Yes.
Total 5.
Yeah. So we've gone from 1 to 2, and then this year we actually have 5 iDefend employees, and so they each have their own kind of story. So kind of to give you a background, Make Your Mark works with street kids, and we get street kids off the street. And another part of the organization, we empower really poor families to keep their children.
I want you to speak on that because I just don't think people understand what's going on around the world with orphan children who aren't really orphans.
Yeah, so a lot of, poverty lies. Poverty is deep, it lies. Culture is deep, and it lies. And so we really want to come alongside of people and let them know that they are worthy and that they can. And so when we moved to Ethiopia, we found that a lot of poor families felt it was better to send their kid to the street during the day to beg and make money instead of going and getting an education, or they think it's better for them to go to an orphanage where they're getting, supposedly 3 meals a day. And so the Lord just really ripped our hearts apart because we don't believe that families should be separated because they're poor. And so our keeping kids home, that's kind of part of what we do is we keep kids home with their families. And so one of our iDefend staff is from our keeping kids home family. It is a single mom, and she is positive. And, she came to Make Your Mark just weeping, having no idea how she was going to make it. She was getting 200 birr a month for her pay. So that's equivalent to $10. Okay, so then she came to be a part of Make Your Mark and a beneficiary. And then, I was like, well, let's bring her in and let's see what she does. Is she good at cutting leather?
Sure.
And so we brought her in and we started training her, and she's amazing. She's the one that cuts our leather now,
Okay.
And then we have one of our boys that graduated from Make Your Mark, one of our street boys, and we reintegrated him back with his mom. So he went to sewing school. So after he was finished doing his sewing school, he came back, we did some training, and now he is our second sewer. So we have 2 sewers, 2 cutters, and then we have Jerry. The reason iDefend is around, she is kind of managing all of that.
Well, I love, and I've often said this with my groups, I love when you're using somebody as like a workshop manager who's climbed their way up,
Yeah.
and who is a local and who has done all the jobs. Because how is it then that, others aren't going to listen to if you bring in somebody else who has zero clue, but she's done everything. So I think that's great.
Yeah, and then her, she really loves, like our Keeping Kids Home mom, because that was her, a single mom, fearful, having nothing, needed help. And so she's filled up. God's using her story, where she came from, to empower and love and encourage and build someone else up. And so it's just it's beautiful to be a part of.
So 5 people, and I know when I'm speaking to my other groups, the need is huge.
Yeah.
There's never the problem of, can we add another artisan?
Yeah.
That there's not enough artisans. It's always, do we have enough work?
Right.
Are we going to be able to meet our sales in order to be able to keep someone? Because you don't want to bring them in and then all of a sudden there's no way to pay them.
Right.
So do you measure that, or do you just say, God's going to let me know when the next one is supposed to come?
Yeah, so we are definitely at a point where we need to grow. We need to make more sales to be able to maintain. And so we're super grateful for the partnership that we have with you guys at the marketplace, because that's like that first candy bar that God's given us. In our prayer and wanting, he knows our hearts. He knows we want to grow, and he knows we want to help more people, and he knows the people that he's going to use to help us get there. And so thank you for being a part of that with us.
I just have to let you guys know that when Carmen came over and just shared her heart, that truly, there's a lot of people that want us to partner with them. And there are a lot of times we can't partner with them. It's just not part of our mission focus. But I love when I get to hear someone share their story and you can see the passion behind why they do what they do, because that's the marketplace. We do what we do because God has called us to do it. Do we know what we're doing? No. But somehow or another, it works.
Yeah.
And that is what's really cool, because it's great. I love working with groups who are very new, because they need the most help and they can ill afford to pay anybody to help them. So for us, we learn from so many different groups, because we're working with now 89 different groups. We learn and then we share, because some of the stuff we don't know until we've had another group stumble through it. So that's what I love about the marketplace. It isn't that you're just even partnering with us. You're partnering with 88 other ministries that if we see an issue that we think, wait a minute, someone else dealt with this, it might have been in another part of the world, let's see if we can get these 2 people together and brainstorm and work through it. So I realize that when you see, I can't imagine what it's like to be there and to look in someone's eyes when they say, I need a job. And you're thinking, I don't know where this is coming from, Lord. But how do you, it's hard.
Yeah.
Because you're living it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit easier for the rest of us because we're removed from it. We don't have people knocking on our doors asking or saying, here, take my child. So that's kind of the brutal reality of what's happening around the world. And I think people just, we're removed from it. We don't understand that that's happening.
Right.
So, yeah.
So 2011 is when we moved to Ethiopia.
Okay, right.
I had to think about that, guys, for a while. I'm not really good with numbers.
So 2011, you moved to Ethiopia. And when did iDefend start?
So iDefend kind of started within the first, I would say probably 11, 12, maybe like 2013-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Somewhere around there.
Okay. So what do you think is on the horizon? I always say this, but I can't even say this for the marketplace, but in your mind, in Carmen's mind.
Yeah. So what is on the horizon? So we would love, our big prayer to God is just for him to just expand sales in a great big God way. We want to hire and help more people. We want to be able to like get a bigger space, you know. We
Because
want
right
to
now
expand.
you're in the ministry.
Yes, right
place.
now, yep,
Okay.
we're at Make Your Mark.
Okay.
And so, but we want to expand. We want to, I mean, like, I see hundreds of people like employed, you know, and empowered and keeping their kids and, you know, being able to provide for their families. And so I don't really know what that means or what that looks like or when it happens, but I know God enough to know that I dream big because He's able to
He
do
is
that.
absolutely able.
So, yeah.
So great. I just wanted you guys to hear the heart behind iDefend and why they do what they do. I can tell you it's a beautiful, well-made product. And know that when you purchase the product, you truly are empowering a mama in Ethiopia, and you're helping to keep families together. I know a lot of us we buy gifts. We're consumers. But why not make your gift count? Why not, as we head into the Christmas season, not only are you purchasing a unique, beautiful, handmade product, but what if you are also changing the life of a mom? And I know that being a mom, it's pretty powerful that you're able to take care of your children and not have to walk on the streets with your child strapped on your back begging for food for the day.
Yeah.
So I wanted to thank you for taking the opportunity to come here and tell your story. And is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, I just think a big thing, like when you purchase any of the iDefend products, it's really important to know that all of the proceeds from that go back into the organization and go back into paying the staff. This isn't like, you know, a way for us to make money. Like it's literally an income generating project, you know, to help make money to get street kids off the street. And so like when you buy your product, like you are in with the street kids, you're in with the poor, you're in with orphan prevention. And so those are kind of the dynamics of what your purchase is doing as a whole.
But what I love about it is it's one of our cornerstones, sustainability.
Yeah.
For us, sometimes donating is just that one time. Purchasing, it enables someone to have a job and take care of themselves, and it gives them a skill set. And I know that perhaps one day they may move beyond you guys, but your goal isn't to keep them forever. Mm-hmm. Your goal is to empower them, and they don't need you anymore.
Exactly, yes.
So thank you for taking the time to share your story with us. And guys, thank you for taking your time to listen and get to know our artisans a little more. So if you guys ever have any questions, you can always ask them in the comments below. Or if you want any more information about iDefend, just message me and we would love to share that with you. So thanks for taking the time, and we'll catch up with you later.